Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. You know what to do if you like what you see, what you hear. Hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week. Great way to keep up with your favorite artists, discover those new ones. But this one, of course, because the world loves him. I love the work he's done, and I'm so glad to have him on this series. Joe Gatto, hello, sir.
Here I am. Thank you so much, Kyle, for having me.
In real life, you exist and you're here.
Here it is. Look at me. Well, this is also, it's not face to face, so I could just be a very good hologram.
Yeah, AI does anything these days, right? That's
true.
Seriously, I mean, I really have. I've been the fan through the whole thing with the Impractical Jokers and listening to Two Cool Moms over the past couple years, however long it's funny because the first season is like a forever season, right?
Yep. It's a year and it's like 67 episodes, I think we did.
Well, I'm going to ask about it here in a second. The Night of Comedy the tour is still going too. You're actually going to be coming sort of in my neck of the woods. I'm here in Louisville.
That's right. And I am a Kentucky Colonel. So
yes,
show me the respect that's needed. Yes, that's right.
How did that happen?
I don't know. So a guy showed up and was like, "Hey, you want this piece of paper?" We were having a show in Kentucky. This is a little while back, me and the boys, and we're in the back room. And I remember our manager came in and he's like, "Hey, if you guys are ready for the ceremony," and we're like, "What ceremony?" He's like, "Oh, they're gonna make you Kentucky Colonel." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So we came out, and there was like a TV, like a film, not a film crew, a photographer. There was like the mayor or somebody of the city of note, and then it was like 15 witnesses or whatever. And it was like a whole thing. We walked in, like, "Oh, hey." And they gave us like this printouts of it. It was really, really cool. So I have this like framed certificate that I'm a Kentucky Colonel. It was really, really interesting.
Yeah. I've got friends who are colonels.
Yeah.
I've never been coloneled.
I'll
see.
I'll put in a word. I'll put in a word.
No jealousy there. I don't know. And I don't even know what you can do. Like, do you know what you can do with a colonel or what you'd want to do as a Kentucky Colonel?
You get 10% off at every retail shop. You're allowed to jaywalk. They can't do anything about that. Light littering's allowed. Besides that, that's everything else. Every law you have to abide by. I don't know. No, I think it's like a key to the city kind of thing. Like they have a day to celebrate. You appreciate what you've done, and then you get to say that and talk about it. So I think it's well done.
Well, there you go. You can put that on the resume, on the tombstone. I mean,
that's right.
Yours forever.
Here lies Colonel Joe Gatto. He's finally popped. There you go.
Well, if you arrive in any of these places dressed as the Colonel, I mean, I feel like you could lean into it a little bit, right?
I mean, an Italian look on the Colonel. Maybe I do an Italian spin on it. I don't know. Maybe Kentucky Fried Cannoli. I don't know.
Yeah, was it a few years ago? It may have been 10 years ago when they started changing all the actors who played the Colonel in the KFC. So it was like,
yeah, those are fun.
Like Norm Macdonald or whoever it was.
Q did a hard push to be one.
What's that?
Did a hard push, to get into that ad campaign. I remember he had our publicist working on it. He had people referring to him as the Colonel when we came back for like a while. It was very funny.
So see, it wouldn't be so far fetched. Anybody
no. I think it'd be on point. It's on brand for Q, especially. If there's any of us that's a Colonel, it's him.
I love it. I'll be excited to see this show when it comes around again. I know you've been doing this for a while. I love that you call it the Night of Comedy too, because I feel like there's no mystery in this.
No, I think people are like, "What's your show? Like, what is it going to be like?" And I'm like, "Look, it's going to be an hour of laughing because that's what we got to do in this world when it's crazy." So I just put together my version of a stand-up show. I tell stories about my life, my time on the show, my friends from that show, and just stories about our friendship. We've been friends over 30 years at this point, which is crazy. And then stories about me too. Like if you knew me from the show, I didn't play a character, so you got to know me there. And this is a way to get to know me a little bit more, which is really cool. I enjoy telling stories about my family, my kids, of course, parenting and realizing I don't know what I'm doing. My crazy stories about all my adoptable dogs and the maniac house that I live in. And of course, growing up with an Italian mother on Staten Island, which she had a big impact on my life. So I like to speak about her and celebrate her memory.
Yeah. So going into, making that transition, you guys did stand up together over the years, but was there a moment when when did stand up really start for you?
So after I had, a couple personal things happen in my life that needed attention, and I was forced to make a change. I still had to pay bills to pay and things to do. So with my team, we talked, and it was like, listen, look, you've been performing live forever. Why don't you take a jab at stand up and see how you can do with it? Because you've been on stage. I had just never been on stage by myself. It's the big difference. I've always been part of an ensemble. For the decades I've been performing. So it was like, let me try this now. So once I started my first show was in Appleton, Wisconsin. I tried it out up there and it went really great. I had a good time. I was at a small comedy club. I performed for about 40 minutes my first time. And then I was like, okay, let me keep on cooking. I brought my friends with me, Steve Byrne and Jiggy, Mark Jagarjian, who's two great stand-ups that I respect and love and are good at what they do. They're veterans at the game. So I got some feedback from them and then crafted my hour pretty quickly. Then the people started to come out. So we jumped up from comedy clubs to theaters pretty quickly. And it's just been great. I really am proud of this hour I've put together. I'm excited to be, I've been bringing it all throughout the country. I'm excited to bring it there. It's just been really, really fun.
Yeah. Was it much of a big change for you? Again, because going from the ensemble.
Yeah, for sure. Like being the only one on stage was the biggest change. And the creative process, right? Because it was always collaborative,
Right.
So now you're in charge of it all. You have to talk for 65 minutes. If it sucks, it's your fault. When it's great, it's your fault. So it was like a little different to deal with that. But overall, I'm really happy with it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy it more than I thought I would, to be honest. And then, so just be able to get in front of people and make people laugh is really what I always want to do. So it's a good vehicle for me.
Yeah. You hear people talk about, putting in the 10,000 hours or whatever. And it's not that you haven't, it just feels like you probably did in a different way.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I worked 18 years before I was an overnight success with Jokers. I've been doing this thing for a while.
Right.
So, everybody has a different path to get there. But at the end of the day is if people enjoy watching you when you bring joy to them, you're doing the thing, right? Yeah. I never really say that about people. People are like, oh, do you think so-and-so is funny? Doesn't matter if I think they're funny. If people are paying out for them to come out, coming out to see them, they're funny. Some people find them funny. Doesn't matter. They're doing their thing. And I think that's a big thing, especially in the stand-up culture. It's like, there's so many different ways to get here, especially after the pandemic. Some people getting discovered on social media, other people putting up, local shows that were performing outside. Now they're bigger deals. If you look at the roster that's out there, it's just a real mishmash, mishmash, is that the word?
Mishmash?
Mishmash, yeah. A mishmash of it all.
It was a made up word to begin with.
Mishmash pet. It's a real good mix, let's say, of all these things. And I just really think it's really cool that, there's different opportunities for people and different ways to do it.
Are you about to be blinded by the light?
The sun has moved, and this is.
Let me tell you, I'm leaning on my side because I'm trying not to.
Trying to match it. How about that?
Like,
did that work?
Take care of yourself on here. We could.
That's much better.
I found myself doing this, and I was like, "Why am I leaning?"
I didn't know. I thought you were having a similar situation. I had Captain Fatbelly get in the picture.
No, it's just like when you're watching a movie and somebody's underwater and you feel yourself not breathing.
Yeah,
I'm not underwater.
I'm centered again. Sorry. Yeah, the sun completely moved behind that tree. Just as soon as we started, it was like right through.
We can definitely fix that. Well, glad we got there. So, what I was going to ask you next, now that you're doing this, now that you're really, this has got to be working a different kind of creative muscle on top of everything that you've ever done. Do you find, because I think this goes with art, and it's a question, this is not insinuation. This is a question every artist, no matter if you're a musician or whatever. Do you find that you've gotten funnier with age, less funnier, or 100%. What?
I think experience is really, I honestly think, I didn't get on TV till I was 32, 34, or whatever. And I don't think I would have been on TV at 23. I don't think it would have hit. I think you need life experience to talk about, especially I think in stand-up. You need definitely, and it doesn't necessarily come with age. I think you need experiences to talk about. I think you need experiences to pull from. That happens to some people way earlier in life. Some people later. My personal thing, like I've had, I have lots of stories to pull from throughout my life, but I feel like I had a real rich 20s, 30s to pull from and really developed my sense of humor, my voice. Like the older people get, the more they have to say. But then I think people's messages change too. Like, I don't think Matt Rife will be doing the same content, in 10 years from now. He'll probably be talking about different things, about family and friends and, like all this different stuff as you're at different stages, So I really think that's what your comedy gets defined by your experience.
Of course, everybody gets to be a comedian, right? Everybody gets to a public stage right out of the gate if they land there. And I agree with you. That's, and it's different again for, I spend a lot of my time in the music world too. And it's not the same there because you can write great songs, when you're 17.
17-year-old heartbreak song.
Yeah, just mind
Come
blowing.
on, you know, really, some of them go through. I mean, you look at like Olivia Rodrigo, right? And then you feel like some of those songs that she's hitting you with, and it's like, wow. I mean, even just the lyrics before, forget the music, right? Just look at the lyrics and look at the stuff that's being said. It really is unbelievable. I do think that any artist, I mean, you're right, across the board, anything you do, even artists, you know, people develop, you know, their artistic hand later in life once they find their medium and what they want to talk about or what they want to paint or what they want to express, you know.
Yeah, but you know, never in the past have we had it in such a way where you can have that public stage right away. So you know, we have old yearbook photos and we have old videotapes or something that we can sort of hide away if we need to, but suddenly it's like these people that are coming out of the gates, you know, really young. It's like, how are you going to feel about that in 10 years, you know?
Yep, that's right. Here you are. Welcome to the world, and it's there forever.
It's probably a good thing that you didn't have that meeting at 23 years old.
For sure. I mean, you did not want to see a 22-year-old Joe Gatto. Oh, gawky.
Well, you've also been able to, as we were talking about, kind of work this whole thing into the podcast, which I love listening to so much. It's called Two Cool Moms, and it's also funny because, you know, I'll let you talk about it more, but you all are giving motherly advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, we are. We are the product of two very cool mothers. Steve and I had mothers that were very. Steve Byrne, who's my co-host on that, is great. Good comedian friend of mine, hysterical, really nice guy. And we've always connected, always had good combos, always been each other's confidants whenever we wanted to bounce ideas off each other in life more than creatively. So we were always, you know, when my schedule opened up, I was like, you know, he was talking about doing a podcast, so was I. I was like, let's try one together. We started talking together. Our first version of it was called Yin Yang Parmesan. Because he's Asian, I'm Italian, and we were just a good mix. And then eventually we just, you know, we started finding we were talking about our moms a lot and pulling from that. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we, you know, do what we do here? We're confidants for each other. And in our friend circles. So let's try to give some advice. So we like to think that we've inherited that gene of our mothers that gives good monthly advice. And the first half of the podcast, we talk about anything and everything because we're comedians, you know, family, parenting, just topic of the day. And then the next half, we take fan submitted dilemmas and solve them to the best of our abilities.
Which, by the way, you know, that format of podcasting, I mean, that's pretty normal. I usually skip out that first part. I never get bored about what you guys are doing. And
yeah, thank you. Yeah, we don't prep it too, which is good because Steve and I are very good, like off the cuff and conversationalists. And we like to like go and do that, you know, and we try to film them when we haven't seen each other for a minute because it's nice to like have some catching up inside of it, you know what I mean? So that's kind of fun. But I always like those first halves too, because I'll just hit him with something out the gates and we'll just tangent out. We're not afraid to follow something. He's a great conversationalist, you know. He's had a lot of experiences too, which is funny. So
yeah. And the questions themselves, it reminded me in the early episodes almost of like, what was I thinking? Like Reader's Digest. The type of
100%. Dear Abby.
Yeah, right.
Dear Abby down here. Yeah. I mean, because the questions were good and deep. Like, and we don't shy away from them too. Like, it's a comedy podcast. We're comedic, but we're not afraid to jump in. Like, so like one of the big questions I remember getting in the beginning is like, and repeated a lot is how do I make friends when I'm older? Like that was the thing. Like there's like a lot of lonely people out there during the pandemic and whatnot. Just like, how do I make friends when school's done? I don't like the people I work with. How do I make friends? Like, and that was like a huge thing for us. We used to get that submitted all the time. So that was like a big part of it for us, like to get these questions. And then I was like, you know what, let's really talk and be a little vulnerable in it too. So it's not just comedy. It ends up being comedic because we're both comedians. We're both funny, you know, and we like to make each other laugh as well. Steve is probably my second favorite person on earth to make laugh. Him and Sal, like the two people I can make crumble. So like when I get him going, that's a lot of fun to dig in. But like, we're not afraid to talk about, you know, our messes up in marriages, our missteps, our, you know, things that we've learned along the way with friends and having to, you know, get rid of friends from our life, bring in new ones and you know, things like that, things that we've learned, things that were important to us now as we are bringing up our own children, you know, so it's like an interesting mix. And then we'll also get asked like, what's the best cereal? And we'll fight about it for like 20 minutes. So like, you never know.
I like those questions as well. And you had, you know, you mentioned Sal, you had Murr on this first season, and is that going to be?
I had Q too. Murr
did you have? I must have missed that one. I was going to ask you if that was sort of the plan to kind of bring him in a little bit.
Yeah, Sal will be in the next one. We already filmed it with him. So Sal being the third one. Yeah. And Q and Murr had already done it. So they were in, and Sal was the one we were waiting on because his schedule's crazy too with podcasting because he's got his, and we were just trying to figure it out. So after I did his Hey Babe and his Taste Buds, I was like, Sal, your turn. Come be a mom. And he came over and did it. And it was very fun. Of course, it's very, Sal's one of the funniest guys I know. So it was very, very funny.
Yeah. Of course, we love seeing anything you guys get to do. But there was the game show, of course, with was it No More Misery?
Misery Index. That was fun
Misery
too.
Index.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that I was trying to say there's no more of it. Or is there? I mean, it's because that was sort of is it
Yeah,
gone?
no, that was that happened before the pandemic. We actually filmed during the pandemic for one season. It's there's no more of it. It was fun, but the best thing that came out was Dinner Party. I mean, Dinner Party was my favorite show we've ever done. 18 episodes of a at-home show where we basically, like, we knew we couldn't do Jokers because of all the restrictions, and we're like, all right, well, we still, now the world needs laughter. What are we doing? We got to do something. And we came up with this format, Dinner Party. And I was like, look, we'll just have dinner together and see what happens. Do a Zoom call. And we did one. And it was like, we were actually just Zooming to have dinner for before the show even came about. And like, we were laughing so much. I was like, this is funny. And then we were like, and we pitched it to the work, and they were like, what? Like, trust us. It's like, what are you going to do? What are you not going to put us on? I mean, you're everything on your network. You need something. This is something. Let us do it. And then we did it, and it was great. It was so fun. We did a couple, we had so much fun surprises, and it really got back us to our sketch roots a little bit, which was fun. Like the Halloween episode is one of my favorites, where Q really he was so into it. He loves Halloween, so we did like a Halloween episode, and he redid his whole basement. Like, it was so funny. Just really fun stuff.
For the part of your story that you have made public, and going through the things that you went through, the reasons why you left Impractical Jokers, to still see you all working together all the time. I mean, it's like, are you not part of it? I know you're not part of that show. I don't even know what the news is on that show, but like, does it feel different in life right now?
I always just say we're still friends. We're just not friends from work anymore. You think about it, like, you think about when you come into people's lives, like, we were creative together before anybody even knew about Jokers, 18-year overnight success out there grinding and doing our thing. And then after it, now the show, like, that's my legacy. I've developed 9.5 seasons of that stuff, has my direct handprint on it, and then the stuff that they've taken in a different direction, or the direction they saw fit with it after, but we, to be such a part of anything, you lose any ingredient, the recipe, from a recipe, it's going to taste a little different, but it still feels like the same thing, so it's just different to be, because I was always so involved in the process, as all of us were, but like, just specifically, like, I was in there with production, scheduling, and then also just creatively, like, from the moment it was written to the last frame was locked for an edit, I was there. Like, I went all the way through the whole thing. I didn't sleep on it at all. So to not be that part of it anymore, that's how it's changed the most, I think. And then just, I'm not there, so I'm not there to jump in, throw an idea, because a lot of it was something happened in the moment. Like, some of my favorite jokes were just like in the moment, or favorite ideas just were in the moment. So to not be physically there, you lose that piece of it. But as far as like the format goes, and the basic overall structure and the DNA of it, yeah, of course, I'll always be intertwined with it. So
yeah. I mean, you guys made some magic. You really did.
Yeah,
you've entertained the
and we
hell out
worked
of
creatively.
us.
People always ask now, it's like, okay, so are you going to go back? And I'm like, well, no, my time with Jokers is done, but those guys I love to create with were completely collaborative. So I wouldn't be surprised. You can never say never, but I wouldn't be surprised if something down the road happens. I mean, they're my best friends, and we've been creating together long before you met us, and probably long after you remember us.
I mean, there's that whole idea of thought, like, most shows don't even make it that long. Like, you walked up, but it could have been, and luckily it wasn't. And for all the obvious reasons why it wasn't, it's a great show. You got a great base, but like, that's sort of a normal run for a lot of people too. So that's, on that side, I guess it shouldn't be so surprising. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. I mean, it's just that when people love you for a thing, they want you to do that thing as long as you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, play Freebird, man. Play Freebird.
Yeah, I know. That's it. And I'm not afraid to. I throw Larry around every now and again if you need me to. But I'm very proud of my time on that show. And now I'm also like proud of this thing I've done, and I'm proud of this kid book I have coming out, and I'm proud of my podcast, and I'm proud of. So it's like, I was always working on stuff too. It wasn't, I wasn't always just that. But once all your focus is on one project. You realize when the sieve opens, it's like, oh my god, I have so much creativity and so many things I want to do.
Right.
So
yeah. What's the kid book?
It's called Where's Barry? It's about
Barry?
A story about my son lost a stuffed animal in the house, and we had to go find it. And about it's a kid's picture book that'll be coming out next year. I did with Penguin Publishing. And I'm really I just actually signed off on the cover. It looks awesome. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, that's great. And of course you got Gatto Pups.
Yeah, oh my, and that takes up so much time. Now we're official, like, you know, we're
Right.
started an official nonprofit, Gatto Pups and Friends, which is so fun. Actually, instead of just collecting these old and unwanted dogs, right? Hey, let's get some adopted out here. So we've been doing that. Just had our 57th adoption last weekend with Cinnamon Roll, which was great. So she went out and found a home, and it's been great. It's been unbelievable. It's hard work. It's a lot of money. It's dedication, and I've been able to dedicate time to it, which has been great too. You know, actually get in there and do some work with it instead of just being like, oh, I like old dogs. It's like, no, we're doing the work here. You know, my wife Bessie runs the hell out of that thing. We got some volunteers, we got some people that help us and work with it, and it's just been really great and really rewarding. Actually, more than I thought it would be.
We love hearing about that. We've got a rescue here in the house.
Oh yeah,
yeah. She's the best.
They're the best. They love nothing loves you like a rescue dog. I'll put it up against anything. It's crazy because we have one dog that we bought, Cannoli, our first dog ever, Cannoli, we bought, and her wagging tail is different than every other dog's wagging tail. It's so funny. It's like she's a little bit diva. She's a little bit like, I've been purchased. Like, you know, she keep the receipt. And these other ones, like, I was living in a dumpster. Thank you. What do you need from me? Like, it's really awesome.
I will admit, last weekend we had a friend who had a Christmas party, and this is not dogs, but they had one of those white elephant, dirty Santa games, you know. And at the end of it, we ended up, through the switching and stealing of presents, with someone brought a live goldfish in a bowl, and we were stuck with this
that's a
goldfish.
Great gift. It's great.
And we had it for about a day, and realizing that goldfishes actually make large messes in water, and you have to, and we don't, and it's like, we didn't, and we took it to the Humane Society where we adopted our pup and said, do you take fish? And they said, yes, we do.
They take everything. So
we're rehoming a fish now. It's
amazing. Yeah, we just found out. My daughter for a while wanted to get we got into the rodent game. We got a bunny. We ended up getting a bunny. We ended up getting a couple guinea pigs. 2 of them are down. We did some hospice guinea pigs, so we gave them some fun cuddles on their way out. We got a mouse, hamster, squeakers. You know, so we have a little bit of a rodent thing going on now, but I pumped the brakes on that. I was like, guys, the end friends, it's in theory. It's pups. Let's stick with the dogs.
Enough.
Because the guinea pigs are nocturnal. They're in the room next to me all night. I hear,
oh yeah,
it makes so much noise. It's crazy.
No, sleep wins. Sleep's got to win. So it's
that's gotta.
You do not get to stay. Seriously, I love the work you do with that, but I love the work that you continue to do with 2 cool moms. You just be around then too. Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it. It's been such a pleasure.
This was fantastic. Thank you for sticking with me through my blinding stages and our technical difficulties. I appreciate you.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.